Okay, good morning. Today is the 21st of Teves, January 2nd. We're going to continue in chapter 12, discussing the journey of the average person that tries to do everything we possibly can to love Hashem, connect with God, and discussing the Beinoni outwardly acting as a tzaddik, but internally having a daily struggle, sometimes just to get out of bed. But one of the places and times that we could be connected to God in the purest and most loving way is during davening, especially during Shema and Shemona Esrei. And we have the power over the Nefesh HaBahamis. We rule, we judge. Ellie, put it on mute, please. There's an echo. Hello? Okay. The Nefesh Elikis, the godly soul, is in control during the Shemona Esrei and the Shema. And then what happens when we leave shul? What happens when we finish davening? We pick up our phones, we get in the car. Huh? We have a tea. Can you please mute your phone on the Zoom because there's an echo? Please mute your phone. Oh boy. Huh? I'm trying to, but right now I'm trying to teach too. Please mute your phone. It would be very helpful to me if you can mute your phone. I'm trying to teach and it's hard for me to do two things at once. So if you can mute, there we go. Okay, just figured it out. Thank you. Okay, now, what happens when you leave shul? The animal soul cannot cause the Beinoni to actually sin because it is not the soul authority, and the Beinoni's mind, which appreciates the truth of the godly soul, rules over his actions. Rak, yet, pnei mipnei shaloi loy levadoi mishpat hamlucha v'hamemshala ba'ir, since the evil of the animal soul has not the authority and dominion over the small city, which is ourselves, the good of the divine soul, which is mostly in the brain and also in the right side of the heart, also has its say. Yet it is unable to implement this desire by clothing itself in the limbs of the body. Ma'aseh dibur machshava mamish, to engage in deed, speech, or actual thought. Lahamik machshavte b'tanug goyel mazeh eich lemalois taivas liboy. Actual thought, which means to concentrate his attention on worldly pleasures with a view to devising means of satisfying the lust of his heart. Okay, what does this mean? So the Beinoni's desire for worldly pleasures would cause thoughts of such matters to rise from the heart to his mind. These thoughts are beyond his control. Remember, I always refer to them as the pop-ups. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, you'd get on your computer, you'd be in the middle of doing work, and suddenly a pop-up would show up. Hopefully it was just a credit card company or some nonsense, and it wasn't too graphic. And you'd go, whoa, get that off. And sometimes if you didn't click perfectly on the X, you'd hit it, and then another website, and your whole computer would be jammed up. So if we know and we're ready and able to quickly close the pop-ups, or we put on a blocking system, then we could avoid it. But it doesn't mean the pop-ups stop. Today, it's just a different form. Happens in your Facebook. It happens in you ever get a text? Good morning. How are you today? You're like, I don't recognize this number. And you go, so if you go, this is, no, a text to your phone. This is a common scam. In the last few days, I've been texting a lot of friends, asking to join our charity campaign. So I'm looking through and I noticed from months ago, hi, how are you today? Who's this, please? Is this Bob? No, you have the wrong number. Oh, too late. Once you engage, they try to, oh, well, what are you doing? Where do you live? I said you have the wrong number. Delete. Most of them you delete, but sometimes there's so many. So this is, unfortunately, this is the beginning of a scam. If you're susceptible, vulnerable, gullible, and you fall into the trap, they start with a friendship, and then they say, by the way, there's an investment possibility, and we know of people that have gotten involved in that. So, and it's very sad. But this is what a Beinoni deals with all the time. He goes about his day, and from every angle, there's bombardment in different ways, pulling him to, oh, you already had breakfast, but guess what? There's nice donuts on the table on the way out. But you don't need that. You're supposed to cut back on the sugar and the carbs and everything. Yeah, but it looks so good. No, it's not gonna. Nobody will know. It's not gonna hurt. Push. That's one thing. Oh, there's somebody walking across. One thing leads to every single moment, everything you turn to. You look at your phone. You meant to go on to call somebody, and the next thing you know, you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, and you're like, 20 minutes just went by. I can't believe what just happened. And that's what's going on in the life of a Beinoni. And that's the beauty of Shema and Shemoneh Esrei while we're davening. But the Beinoni's world, worldly pleasures, always has these thoughts coming into his heart and mind. A Beinoni, just because it comes into his mind, doesn't mean he's thinking about it. It means it's trying to get him to think about it. So we have to realize and recognize the distinction between thinking about something and something that enters your mind.
Thinking of something and thinking about something. Thinking of something you can't control. You can't control what.
Okay, let me repeat that so that everyone on the recording can hear. So Nati just mentioned, Rabbi Sheis Taub says there's a difference between thinking of something and thinking about something. So when something comes into your mind initially, it's that thought might be there, but you're not thinking about it. And we have to find ways, and Tanya is going to explain how we can control it. And we have to control it. But there are certain things that come in that are beyond our control, beyond the sphere of dominance of his divine soul. He
faces the opposite challenge as well psychologically. We know what the defense mechanisms. If, on the other hand, he wants to defend himself and he walls himself off, that's also something that's not good for him.
The bottom line is pleasure. He wants to think about it because it makes him feel good.
Doc, according to the Tanya, he cannot wall himself off.
Right, but I'm saying
the tzaddik.
That's why it's a faulty thing.
Right. So exactly. So I like what you're saying. You're saying that a person might think he can wall himself off, and then he'll be safe.
Yeah.
But we have to understand that we cannot wall ourselves off. We're Beinonim, and this is going to happen, or aspiring Beinonim, halavai. But we can control the actual, meaning the conscious and willful thought, so that immediately, as he becomes aware of the forbidden thought, he dismisses them from his mind, not permitting himself to dwell on them, and certainly not to implement them, as the Alter Rebbe will state at greater length further in this chapter. So we're gonna give some tools as to how to immediately dismiss foreign thoughts that enter our mind, and it usually happens not during davening. Sometimes it also happens during davening. Let's be real. We just said that we're going to share some tools of how to take care of it. So let's see what the Alter Rebbe has to say about it. Returning now to his statement that the divine soul of the Beinoni keeps the desires of his animal soul in check, preventing their expression in deed, speech, and actual thought. The Alter Rebbe explains why this is possible. How could you tell me, Adam, that if something pops into my head, I can control it? We all know that it's nearly impossible to control at times. If the Alter Rebbe says it's possible, it is possible. So let's see why and how. Because the brain rules over the heart, as it is written in Mehemna Parshas Pinchas, by virtue of its innately created nature. So the brain naturally is the one that's in control. Shekach noitzera adam b'seladetoi, shekol adam yachal b'ritzaynoi, shebemoichoi lisapek, v'limshal b'ruach tavasei shebeliyavai. Now you could say, what do you mean? But it's so hard. Yeah, it might be hard, but it's possible. And the people that have self-control, the David Goggins of the world, you ever heard of him? He was like, heavy, and he was this and that, and he became like a motivational speaker, and he gets people to exercise and everything else. Easy to, there's plenty of personalities that will show you how if your mind will control your body, then you can control what you eat, what you say, what you think, how you feel, and everything else, and you can be motivated to wake up with strength and with pride. And that's also what, like, for example, what United is teaching. We can look at it two ways. Is there anti-Semitism a little? Sure. Is that what we're going to focus on? No. We're going to stand up every morning and we're going to put on our yarmulke and tzitzis and we're going to come to shul with Jewish pride and strength. It's a mindset. It's a mindset. I was having a little debate with some shluchim chaverim yesterday that there was a little pushback. One guy in particular was trying to raise money in his community. He said, there's so much anti-Semitism and everyone's so scared and it's happening right here in our community. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? I don't see that. You're talking about the swastika incident from like 3 months ago where that's not, we have to, and we were arguing because there's a camp that says, of course, if you look for problems, there's going to be anti-Semitism in every town because there was a swastika down, in front of B'nai Shalom written on the sidewalk, and there was somebody that drove by and said, "Free Palestine," and this and that. No, there's no anti-Semitism here. Why? Because we're not looking for it. We're going to stand up and daven every day and learn every day and gather together as Yidden, and we're going to say Tehillim, and we're going to be proud Jews, and we're going to defend ourselves, and we're going to not be naive, but at the same time, where's our focus? So that's where the mind controls the heart. You don't walk down the street scared, oh, where's the attack going to come? You walk down the street with a self-confidence. Guess what? Then the enemy backs down. And that's the same approach to your Nefesh HaBahamis and Yetzer Hara. I know it's not the same thing, Nati, don't jump on me just yet. But when your mindset is, thank you, Hashem, for returning my soul. I have a mission to do. Thank you for entrusting me with that mission. And then you say the brachas, and then you go about your day, you come to shul, and wash negavas, and you stand up tall and proud. You're not like slumped over and like, I feel like I have to come because I have to say Kaddish because Baruch Hu and this, and you just, and I just can't wait till this is over, and you're looking at the clock. You're like, this is amazing, and you focus your mind and your heart and your soul, the Kaddish Baruch Hu, and you say the words with so much excitement and energy. Ivdos Hashem b'simcha. And then when you go about your day, you're like, look, I might be going to work, but I'm going as a proud Jew, and I'm going to conquer the world. And every day you take a step higher. And you know what? Who can I inspire today? Even a person who was in a place, they say, a place called prison. I saw this story about Rabbi Shlomo Mordechai Bashkin, who spent some time in the place called prison. And there was this boy who he met there who's from today. And they used to learn every day. They used to learn together. Chumash, Tehillim, Tanya, and Rambam. Not Tehillim, but Chumash, Tanya, and Rambam every single day. And he grew up, not religious. And he got himself into some trouble. And where did he become from? In jail. You can either be in jail and miserable. You could be in your own body and be miserable. In that, we talked about it last night between Mincha and Ma'ariv, that the body is in, the neshama comes down into the body and is in like an exile. And you could look at it as a pity me victim mentality. Or you could say, you know what? Like Pop Sugarman said on Shabbos, he said, I had an opportunity. He says, the government wanted me to learn more Torah, so they sent me to Cheder for a couple of years so I could learn. And he said he studied Jewish history and Rambam, Myron Sugarman. So it's what you make of it. So now what does he do? The desires are going to constantly come up. The evil, inclination is going to constantly try to sway you and pull you in a certain direction. What a person, okay, one second, let me just back up a second. Shaloi, the malois, mishalois libi b'maase dibur machshava. What happens is the nefesh habahamis, the daily desires, which are maybe not lined up. Okay, and by the way, even if they're parav, why am I pulled to eating? Why am I pulled to doing a certain thing? Is it because I want them, or is it because I'm doing them because Hashem wants me to do them? So that's low level. That's not even Averis yet. But Averis comes very quickly thereafter if we do it for selfish reasons. So this Nefesh HaBahamis from the beginning, I think I skipped a little, I apologize. Let's back up. Shekach noitzera adam say I said that already. Man was created from birth, that every person may, with the power of his will in his brain, meaning the will created of mind's understanding, restrain himself and control the drive of his heart's lust. If a person wants to be motivated and do the right thing, we all know we can do it. We all know we can do it because there have been times where we didn't feel like doing certain things and we did it. And then other times we take the easy road. We take the lazy road. No good. So the mind prevents his heart's desire from finding expression in deed, word, and thought, speech, and action. When the mind understands the evil inherent in such deed, word, or thought, he says, you know what? That's not for me, and I'm going to stay away from that. Obviously, easier to stay away from doing something, harder to not say what you want to say. And the most difficult thing is to control your thoughts. Okay, we're going to get to that. And you could also divert your attention completely from that which his heart craves and turns his attention to the exact opposite direction. You're driving down the road, you see a billboard, you're like, oh, not for me. And you literally look the other way and you think things that are you should, you think you literally train your mind to start thinking something else, which we're going to get to. So this principle, mind over heart, holds true even where the restraint of one's desires is dictated by simple logic. Without motives of holiness, the demands of the mind's logic are alone sufficiently powerful to steer one's attention in a direction diametrically opposite to that which his heart craves. If you think I need special tools, I need a certain coach, I need help from, no, you actually can do it. And you can do it. It's just not easy. And it's just the easier way is to go the lazy way and just, okay. And then you could just throw up your arms and say, what can I do? I couldn't control my thoughts. We know we can do it. And this is especially true when the motivation is directed to holiness, meaning when you get some evil thought in your mind and you could easily think, Hashem doesn't want me to think this way. I just came from shul where I was davening Shema and Shemona Esrei and all the, words of Tehillim and everything else. I can't be thinking this way. This is not what Hashem wants from me. And you direct your thoughts to Hashem, whatever that is, whether it's a pasuk that comes to mind, or nachas from your children, or a mitzvah that you've become passionate about, your tzitzis. Grab a hold of your tzitzis. Sitting in the car, you look at the tzitzis. This represents the 613. You just deviated your mind from the attack of the animalistic desire and tendencies that you're having, and you're thinking instead, that's, it's not a bad idea to have your tzitzis sticking out, because when you see them, they represent the 613 mitzvahs. It certainly can help with your mindset. So you look at them and you start thinking of some of the mitzvahs that connect you to God that you enjoy doing, even if it's not Shabbos. You think about Shabbos, because really Shabbos comes with us during the entire week. So you think about the cholent, think about whatever allows you to move away from whatever you were thinking a moment earlier, which was, again, lustful thoughts trying to steer you astray. So when motivated by the knowledge that his lustful thoughts are sinful and thoughts of Torah mitzvahs are good, one seeks to divert his attention from the sinful thoughts to the good, to the mitzvahs, so that both his goal and his motives are holy. His mind's will, in particular, are affected and mastered are effective. In mastering his heart and his thoughts. Okay. You okay, Doc? Okay. The pasuk says in Koheles that when I saw the wisdom surpass folly as light surpasses darkness. Again, I saw that wisdom. What's folly? Folly is a ruach shtus. A stupidity comes to your mind. When you break it down, this lustful thought or this sinful thought or this, a certain desire to eat or mentally ingest that particular thing is stupidity, because it's fleeting. It comes and it goes. It's a momentary pleasure. But your connection to Hashem is everlasting. The light surpasses the darkness. It stays. It's enduring. Clearly, the use of analogy dictates that a difficult and unfamiliar idea is to be clarified by comparison with a simple and familiar one. However, nothing seems to be gained by equating wisdom and folly with light and darkness. Both are equally comprehensible. Perush, this means, so let's see, when we say the wisdom surpasses folly as light surpasses darkness, let's break it down and unpack it a little bit. Just as light has superiority, power, and dominion over darkness, we always say this, especially Hanukkah time. You have a dark room and you light one little match, it lights up the whole place. But if you have a beautiful shul and there's a little bit of darkness that comes in, it's overpowered. You can't. It doesn't have the power to make the whole place dark. Shema'at or gashmi doicha harbe min achoshech shenitche mimeno me'alav u'memela. A little physical light banishes a great deal of darkness, which is displaced automatically and inevitably without any effort on the part of the light. Light just shows up. It doesn't even do any hard work. It doesn't have to start taking away the darkness. The darkness runs away. So is there driven away automatically much fooliness, narishkeit of the klippa and sitracha of the animal soul located in the left part of the heart. So you think it's an insurmountable thing. If I'm thinking, if there's a pop-up in my brain and I'm driven towards a lustful thought or a sinful thought or some kind of a thing, it's hard. I can't stop myself. You know, this boy who Shalom was learning with in jail, in that place called jail. So he got involved in drugs. He was a star athlete quarterback in high school, and he got involved in drugs. And he was trying to go clean for a while, and then his friend asked him, and he said, "I thought I had the willpower, but I realized it was such a strong desire." That's what the Nefesh Bahamis tries to create. You will feel so good. It just takes a moment, and nobody will find out about it. It's gonna be just, keep it in the closet. But here's what Tanya comes to say: it's so easy to drive it away. Now, obviously, addictions, there are things that are, become manifest, but we're talking about a spirit of folly, a stupid idea that comes to mind, a visual image that comes in your mind during davening, or even outside of davening when you're on your way home. Or even worse than in your mind is if you see it on your phone or in some other form, right? If you see it physically. Much foolishness of the klippa sitracha of the animal soul which is on the left side of the heart, as our sages say, a man does not sin unless a spirit of folly enters him. We're all good people. We all mean well. What happens? A stupid thought comes in our mind. I don't know why I said that. I don't know what I was thinking. You know what? And I broke that thing. I don't want to use an example too close to home, but my kids, they play and suddenly something breaks in the kitchen. They're like, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what we were thinking. We could have easily gone outside to throw the ball. Now there's a glass and a plate broke." It happens. And it's good when you recognize when that happens. But a man does not sin unless a spirit of folly enters him. Stupidity, shtusim. Thus our sages describe the desire of the animal soul as folly. I call it stupidity. Hence, they are automatically banished by the wisdom of the divine soul that is in the brain. So don't forget, if an idea comes in your head, where is the primary location of the nefesh elikis? In the brain. 1 second. In the brain. The primary location of the nefesh bahamis is in the left side of the heart. So if the primary location of the nefesh elikis is in the brain, excuse me, you're coming into my house. This is my place. You get out. So it's easy. Obviously, we struggle with it, but the Alter Rebbe was sharing with us this idea going all the way back to the Sharblat, to the first page, not even the first chapter or even the first discussion, but from the beginning. This thing is very close. You can do it. So you say to yourself, "Yeah, but I can't control what I'm thinking." He says, No. That spirit of narishkeit that came into your head, that's coming in the nefesh elikis location. Excuse me, if somebody comes into the shul disturbing, what are we going to do? We say, "Oh, well, everyone has a right to do whatever they..." No, we're davening here. You want to talk narishkeit? Get out. Go to the other room. And that's what we have to do to our nefesh habahamis, because excuse me, your location is in the left side. Get back to your corner. And that's what he's. We're almost done, Doc, and then we're going to go into a little discussion. What happens? The divine soul has his place, and he wants to live there alone. He wants to rule that city, which is really the entire body. Starts in the brain. That's the. It's like the penthouse of the apartment of the nice condominium, but at the same time, it's the palace of the city. The brain is the top of the food chain when it comes to the small city, and it wants to rule over everything. And specifically in the three garments, specifically the godly soul wants to rule over the thought, the speech, and the action which are connected to the 613 mitzvahs as discussed above. I didn't really think about this too extensively till today, but wearing your tzitzis and thinking of the 613 mitzvahs is directly connected to our war against the nefesh habahamis, which comes to attack us. So you look at the tzitzis and you're reminded of the 613 mitzvahs. And parenthetically and coincidentally and interestingly enough, this is what was happening in Israel during the war against Hamas. Yimach Shemam, may they all be wiped off the face of the earth. That's real evil manifested in somehow in this world. I don't even want to say in a human body because they're not human; they're animals. And what did the Jewish soldiers want? They wanted the tzitzis to protect them and to save them. But the tzitzis represent. It's not enough. It's not enough to just say the tzitzis are our protection. It also we also have to realize that the tzitzis represents the 613 mitzvahs, our intrinsic connection to the Torah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So in the Beinoni, this desire of the divine soul in the brain, that it alone rules the thought, speech, and action, and really the entire body. And then that way it can control the lustful desires, which the animal soul constantly strives to do because that feels good, that's pleasurable. But that's what we have to realize where it comes from. It's stupidity, momentary, fleeting, and moreover, it prevents their actual expression because of the natural supremacy of mind over heart. So if mind rules the heart, and the godly soul is its place of residence is primarily in the mind, so we have an advantage to be able to chase away and banish the evil thoughts that come to us, but it still remains a daily challenge to the Beinoni as we're discussing. So the takeaway for today is embedded in your DNA is that your mind can control your heart. So we can when we wake up in the morning, if you had a tough night the night before, the tough day the day before, and you fell victim to some of the thoughts or even some of the speech, or even you did something which was out of line. Okay, you go to sleep at night, you say Shema, you wake up the next day, you make a firm decision in your mind to do what's right, and you totally reject any challenges, any foreign thoughts or ideas, any spirit of folly that enters your mind. We have the ability to banish and chase away, and then be a Beinoni in that moment. And it's going to be a constant battle throughout our day and throughout our lives, but we know that we have the power to overcome those evil temptations and desires. So that's it for today. We're going to continue tomorrow with further discussion as we continue our journey through chapter 12 of Tanya, discussing the Beinoni.